Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kirill, your Justice analyst, and today it's time to talk about the results of semi-final number 2. So both semifinals have concluded, all the finalists have been chosen. I was also lucky enough to attend the second semifinal show in Vienna. It was so amazing to see my favorite acts live. You know that my favorite is Australia this year. I was so happy to see Delta performing live. But now talking about the results of second semifinal, I would say they were quite predictable. If you take a look at my 10 picks for the finalists from this semifinal after the second rehearsals, you can see that all 10 I luckily was able to get right. Also today, during the semi-final, I have also reconfirmed in one of my posts that I still believe in the same 10, but of course the bookmakers also got all the 10 correctly. So these were the bookmaker odds right after the second rehearsals. They didn't really change before the show, maybe the order slightly, but it was still the same 10 countries. And if we look at the Eurovision scoreboard after the second rehearsals, you can see that Eurovision fans really underestimated chances of Norway. Jonas, Lovv, he was ranked only 14th. I think his performance was very strong. I can't imagine he was struggling to qualify. I don't see him as any sort of borderline qualifier, maybe somewhere around place 5 or something like that. So today, let's take a look first at the 5 countries which unfortunately will not perform again in the final. Let's discuss their performances, what maybe went wrong, and afterwards let's take a look at our 10 finalists and see how well they might do in the Eurovision final and what can I say about their performances. So let's start with the first country, and it's Azerbaijan. If you remember, bookmakers, Eurovision fans, also in my ranking, Azerbaijan was always shown as the least likely qualifier from the second semifinal, so I wouldn't be surprised if Jiva has finished in the last place. Nevertheless, I would like to point out that her vocals were absolutely excellent. I have truly enjoyed watching her performance in Vienna Stadthalle, but also on TV. I think it looks great, it sounds great, just the song itself is not impactful enough, and I think the chorus especially is quite forgettable. Moving on to Luxembourg, which unfortunately lost its perfect qualification streak, even though the streak was just 2 years. Mother Nature by Marija was ranked 14th by the bookmakers, 12th by the Eurovision fans. In my ranking, I have decreased her chances to 55% and she was ranked 11th. I think the song is magical. They tried to show it in the live performance as well, but in my opinion, the live station looked a little bit too dark. There were definitely some very interesting moments. I love this microphone stand where the flowers are blossoming at the end of the song. It was really beautiful. The first part of the song has so many effective visuals, which mostly you don't even notice when you watch the performance in the arena because they are applied effects just for the TV production. On contrary though, the second half looked quite empty. There were effects lacking. It felt like the producers of this performance were just out of the ideas, just let Marija perform just like that, and then, you know, this magical part with the violin comes. I was still hoping till the very end that maybe she can make it. I think she can be totally proud of this performance. She delivered great vocals, such a nice energy on stage, but I think this running order between two quite big favorites, and in general having a song which is maybe not a huge favorite and coming from such a small nation of Luxembourg, which doesn't have many neighbors which could support it, led to this result, but I'm very curious to see on which place she exactly ended up. And small interesting fact, Mother Nature was co-written and produced by 2 very talented Danish producers who were also behind the entry of San Marino this year, Superstar, and they also co-wrote and produced the song for the United Kingdom. So unfortunately 2 of their 3 entries didn't manage to reach the finals. United Kingdom is of course pre-qualified for the final, so let's see where it will end up. Even though Paloma Rumba from Armenia was ranked just 13th by the bookmakers, just 13th by the Eurovision fans, and also 13th in my prediction ranking, I still was doubting until the very end if they're really not qualifying. I think Simón has such a powerful energy. He has strong vocals, great charisma. He was truly owning the stage. Also, you could see that Armenia has put a lot of effort into planning this performance. You have 2 costume changes, you have this lift, great camera work. Also Rosalind, the writer and performer of the most famous Armenian entry Snap, was also behind this entry, so everything was kind of leading to success, but somehow it just didn't click with the audience, or maybe the juries have destroyed his chances. I'm really curious to see where he ended up, but I think he can be totally proud of this performance. He definitely gave his best and I truly enjoyed watching this, and especially watching it in the arena where the whole crowd was on their feet cheering for Simón. You really love me inside. So since 2018, Switzerland had a perfect qualification record, qualifying to the grand final every year. 2 years ago, even winning Eurovision Song Contest, hosting it last year. Unfortunately, this year, very talented singer-songwriter Veronica Fusaro, with her self-written entry Alice, didn't manage to reach the finals. I thought the performance was very strong in the arena. It sounded and looked absolutely amazing. The TV performance from the last Thursday night had a couple of vocal imperfections. I think Veronica Fusaro was also showing that she's not very happy with how it ended up. Of course, this is the final performance, which will be broadcasted, which will force the televoters to take their phones and vote for her. And in this case, it was just not enough. I think the juries have probably ranked her very well, but I can also see that the televoter support was probably limited. I just really hope that those few vocal issues which she had during the TV performance didn't cost her a few points, which maybe made a difference between qualification and non-qualification. What a beautiful performance by Atvara. Each and every performance of this song by her since Latvian Supernova was just magical. Her vocals are great. I love the special effects with this shattered glass flying around her. I think if the song would have been performed in the first semi-final, maybe it would have stood a chance to qualify, but this semi-final just gave us so many strong ballads. After Atvara, we had Australia, we had Ukraine, we had Albania, we had Malta. Just the amount of ballads was so insane, and unfortunately the one from Latvia was maybe not the one standing out the most. I just hope that she got a decent place, was maybe even close to qualify, so we will find it out, but she can totally be proud of this performance. I don't think anyone was surprised when Bulgaria was announced as the first finalist from the second semi-final. Bulgaria, right after the second rehearsals, was ranked 5th by the Eurovision fans, 6th by the bookmakers, but maybe you have seen she managed to win the poll when people were asked in the arena after the jury rehearsal. She was also crowned on the same day earlier by the journalists as the winner of this semi-final. I thought the performance was absolutely stunning. In general, camera works were amazing. I loved that moment when the camera, together with the room walls, were rotating around Dara and the dancers. It looked so effective, such a cool feature which wasn't really used in Eurovision before. The choreography is so unique and so stunning, so fitting to the lyrics of the song. Dara vocally is excellent, her energy is amazing. She was a true sensation of this semi-final. While watching this performance in the arena, it was so interesting to see how they executed everything, and then when you watch the TV performance, it just all makes sense. So I really hope she will do well. It's a great comeback for Bulgaria to Eurovision Song Contest. While Ukraine was third in accordance with the bookmakers in this semi-final, the Eurovision fans were ranking Leléka just 9th. It's of course a huge gap, which can also be explained by the fact that Ukraine generally does better than expected by the Eurovision fans. I thought the performance of Leléka was truly beautiful. Thank you guys for the explanation what this sort of makeup and her dress means. So Leléka, presumably from Ukrainian, can be translated as a stork, and so this was sort of a visual she was going for with this dress. While her vocals were brilliant, I loved also the cloth hanging from the back. It was just adding additional dynamic. I still felt like this was not her best performance. I thought some of her other performances where she was wearing a dress instead of a suit with pants looked better, because she's not moving that much on stage. So the pants kind of don't really make so much sense. I also thought the performance was sometimes a little bit too dark. I would wish for some more engaging visuals, so they could have done more with this performance. But in any case, I absolutely love the song. I think Leléka will do really well, but just maybe not in top 5 this year. If you remember in my prediction, the chances of Norway to qualify to the grand final before rehearsals, after rehearsals, every time I ranked as 85% because not really much was changed in comparison to the selection where performance was already very strong. Your voting in the Eurovision Scoreboard app was showing that Norway should be ranked second to last, so 14th in this semi-final. This was definitely a big underestimation of the chances of Jonas. Lovv. The bookmakers were putting him into top 10, but towards the end of the top 10, I think he wasn't close to non-qualifying. This performance was so strong, such cool references to Freddie Mercury, and knowing how Queen and their legacy are still extremely popular, it was clear that many people will grab their phones, will vote for the song, and I think the juries also have loved it. So let's see where he will end up in the final, but I don't think that Norway will be somewhere in the bottom. Well, to see Delta's performance was the main reason I flew to Vienna this year. I absolutely love the singer. She's my favorite singer in the world. If you have watched my previous videos, you probably know it already by now. I was extremely happy with what they have prepared for the Eurovision stage. The whole team was not really working on Eurovision performances in the past. The composers never wrote anything for Eurovision. Delta herself never performed on the Eurovision stage, but they managed to write a song which screams perfect Eurovision formula. They managed to prepare performance, which is a perfect Eurovision performance from the first second to the last one, and vocally it was amazing. Of course, you can say in this performance was nothing really innovative, nothing too new. All of it we have seen in one way or another, maybe in another combination performed by male artists or whatsoever, but nothing really completely new. And you would be not wrong, but this is just a perfect pop song formula. That's what many of us love Eurovision for this perfect Eurovision pop anthems, and I think this is what Delta is delivering to us. So far it seems very probable that she might win jury vote in the Eurovision final. I definitely see how the Eurovision experts will vote for the song. I think she most probably managed to win the semi-final, but we know that usually in the grand final Australia struggles to get a lot of televote points, so I think they will probably be somewhere around 100, maybe even lower than that, but let's talk about this in my final results prediction. Our finalists number 5, and what a great comeback to Eurovision. Just like Bulgaria, Romania came not to stay in the semi-finals but to fly directly to the grand final and be a big contender for some very high places. I think the first 1.5 minutes of the song are so amazingly staged. I love the lighted up tubes. I love the interactions with the white ghost. Maybe towards the second half it becomes a little bit more empty, but Alexandra has so much charisma, is showcasing her vocals so amazingly that it's totally stays captivating. I think Romania will do really well this year with the televote. However, we have this year quite a lot of songs which will be fighting for the points from the televoters. With the jury support, I think it will be a little bit more limited. Usually rock songs do much better in the televote than in the jury vote, because in the jury vote we have mostly the professional in the pop scene. That's why the other genres are usually suffering. Malta was ranked 8th by the bookmakers and 8th by the Eurovision fans. After the second rehearsals, I was ranking his chances as 60%. He was my 10th qualifier, about whom I was least confident. But Aidan has this great charisma, the special aura which helps him to connect with the viewer. I think the performance was truly magical. I love the spinning part in the end. Maybe you didn't know, but in that part he's not spinning as fast as it might look like, and his hair is moving so much with the wind because there is also a person next to the cameraman with the leaf blower just blowing the wind towards his face so that it looks even more effective. I think this is a very clever idea. I hope he will do well, but so far I have to say I don't think Malta will be very high in the Eurovision final, but at least he managed to bring his country to the Eurovision final, and this is already a great success. While Cyprus was ranked 3rd by the Eurovision fans after second rehearsals and also 5th by the bookmakers, I wasn't so sure. I was really worried about the vocals of Antigoni in Wiener Stadthalle, and seeing how people cheer for Antigoni, how much they love the song. I understood that even with slightly questionable and shaky vocals, she most probably will still make it to the final. The performance is just staged so nicely. If Antigoni lacks something with vocals, she has it with her charisma, with her dance moves, even with her appearance on stage. She definitely is made for stage. Well, the jury support for this entry was most probably quite limited. I think Antigoni was not in the jury top 10, but the televoters gave it enough. We will see Jalla in the final. It's always great to have more up-tempo songs in the final than ballads, because the show is very long, and I hope Antigoni will work on her vocals so that she scores much more than only points from Greece in the grand final. What a powerful and dramatic performance again from Albania. Albania definitely knows how to make songs like this. I think the message of the song is beautiful. Some visuals were transmitting this message so nicely. When Alice is joined by the choir of mothers, it's just so beautiful and so touching. I think he probably did very well in the televoting. In the jury voting, I could imagine a little bit lower, but most probably he was in their top 10 as well. I'm wondering where he will end up in the grand final, but I don't think this is a top 10 finish for Albania this year. So Søren from Denmark was of course a huge Eurovision fans favorite. He was ranked always #1 in this semi-final. He was also ranked second by the bookmakers. However, the coefficients were almost the same as for Australia. I think he delivered a great performance vocally, very strong, great work with the camera. It basically copies most of the elements from his performance in Dansk Melody Grand Prix, but you know, it worked. Everyone loved that performance, so why change it? At the ending of the song, the last 30 seconds are absolutely stunning. I think the juries will really love this. The first part sounds a little bit repetitive at some points of time. So right now I tend to believe he will do quite well in the jury voting. In general, the song was received quite well in some sort of jury expert rounds in different countries. While the televoter support might be a bit more limited, I don't think that the southern countries will support the song so much necessarily. Last but not least, Daniel Žižka has truly blown everyone away with his amazing vocals. Such a young performer, such little experience, and already so amazing control of his voice. I thought the performance with the mirrors was very interesting, very beautiful. Only the middle part, when Daniel is surrounded by mirrors. By the way, if you are in the arena, you cannot see him at all for almost like a minute. This part looked a little bit messy because the cameraman kind of didn't know where to place himself because of all the mirrors, so he was kind of filming him all the time from underneath. I think the moment when the mirrors are spinning around him is extremely effective, looks very, very impressive. After this gorgeous vocal performance by Daniel for the song which he actually wrote by himself, I'm pretty sure that the juries will love this. He will most probably be in their top 5 in the grand final. With the televoters, it's hard to say. We have to see where he will be in the lineup, but in any case, Czechia is again in the grand final, and I'm sure he will also do very well there. So this is what I have thought about the performances and the results of the second semi-final of Eurovision 2026. I think it was an amazing show. Maybe it was even stronger than the first semi-final. I could see some of the entries from this semi-final also qualifying if they would have been in the first semi-final, but well, in Eurovision you also sometimes need some luck. So now on Friday will be revealed the running order for the grand final. I will try to film my video with the prediction for the final results as fast as possible, but it will take some time because I'm trying to prepare for you some high quality analysis content. So definitely subscribe to my channel, like this video, it will help my channel enormously, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.